that if you want to get gold and silver, there's no better person on the planet to get it from than Matt Geiger at veritymetals.com. You can text him directly at 480-717-9081. Invest in your future with precious metals.
You know, I have a question for you, Matt, and it ties in. So I'm trying to explain to my mom a little bit about what you do, because, you know, obviously she's wondering with the stock market and all that stuff. And what was cool is Lewis Herms mentioned that you charge about a third of what other people involved in gold and IRA charge. So what does that look like if someone transfers part of their IRA over and wants to put into gold? What does that look like? So I can maybe show this part to my mom and to our viewers, like maybe walk them through that. That might be really helpful for people. Yeah.
So what I do in the IRA space, and yeah, you're exactly right. I charge at least a third less, at least, if not probably 1/4 of what these companies charge. And it's really that, you know, there's a lot of back end work that we do. So we have to upcharge the gold and the silver a little bit, you know, nothing egregious, you know, maybe, if a Silver Eagle's, you know, $36, I might charge 37 or 37.50 for the thing, you know, for the back end work. Whereas you go to another company, you'll pay 65 an ounce and you won't even realize it. It's crazy. It's nuts. It's unethical. And there's no governing body to come in to say, hey, you can't do this. That's the problem with the industry.
And that's partly why you left, so you could just do your own thing.
Do my own thing. You know, I really believe that you can get the job done for people. Plus, you know, and you do a good job for people and they see that, especially the big money people. It's like, you're going to get referrals. You know, I could work on, you know, somebody comes to me with a multi-million-dollar portfolio. I could work on 1%. That's fine. Or 0.5%. Whereas the other companies are going to charge you 40%. You know, who's going to go for that? And, you know, the people that have done these things so far are really people that don't know much about gold and silver, unfortunately. And that's what they call me to figure out. It's like, hey, I don't know much about this stuff. Show me the ropes. You're the expert. And they're kind of relying on you. And then, you know, to go around and charge them all kinds of money I think it's unethical. And it's not how I operate as a human being. But to your question, how it would work is, so something I do that's kind of unique is, if you want to self-store the stuff yourself, see with gold, you call XYZ Gold and Silver Company to transfer your IRA. You're moving your IRA tax-free, penalty-free to another type of IRA, which is a self-directed IRA, right? It's the type of IRA that can accept physical gold and physical silver. That's why I wouldn't use, you know, let's say somebody's current IRA, we can't put it in there because it doesn't have that capability. You need a certain IRA that does it. You just move, you know, 100,000 over to, you know, this other IRA, whatever amount. And then you're purchasing the gold and silver with that. Then once you purchase the gold and silver, you'll get, you know, a few different storage options. They're going to say, do you like storage option A or depository A, depository B, or depository C? Right. And you have no idea. You have no idea who these depositories are. And I think the depositories are fine. But especially people in our community, I think that their comfort level is that, hey, I want to hold the stuff myself. And that actually can be done. You can hold the stuff yourself. I build the infrastructure for you to do that. There's a little bit more cost involved, not much, just a little bit. You pay a couple additional fees to do it, not to me, but to some of my attorney partners. And we build the infrastructure for you so that, hey, if you're really concerned about having that stuff out of state or in some place you just don't know or don't trust, you can take it in your own possession. It's a little bit of a gray area with the government, right? You could risk, you know, and I'm just being bluntly honest, you could risk an audit, but no one's telling anybody that you're storing your stuff yourself. So the risk of getting an audit is probably next to zero, right?
Okay.
And I think you're fine using it. So there's another solution. Let's say you're like another client of mine where I had a client a couple months ago. She had a couple $100,000. She wanted to move it. She had a credit union that was literally down the block from her. So, you know, she could walk a block and she's at her credit union. She'd known these people for, you know, she's an older lady. She's probably known these people for 20, 30 years. We just did all gold, and she, you know, the safety deposit box. She just got one of those, you know, the big rectangular boxes. We just did her whole IRA in gold, and we just stuck it all in that safety deposit box. That's perfectly compliant. That's perfectly compliant.
So now that might be something my mom would do. Would be something like that,
right? So there's different levels. There's different ways that you can, and this is why people like working with me is I'm really good at figuring out kind of solutions that are tailored to how comfortable somebody feels with it. right? You could do that. I think the standard depositories, honestly, I think they're just fine. It'd be different if Biden were in office. Then I'd be like, all right, are these things getting rated?
Right.
Yada yada. I don't think that I do not think that that'll be the case under Trump. I don't. I think you're just fine with the standard depository model. Another creative solution is, what else? There's private depositories depending where you are in the country, like where you guys are. I have a relationship with 2 depositories very close to where you guys are up there. Again, perfectly compliant. We could send it there. You pay a little. The problem is that over there, you have more accessibility to your gold and silver, right? Which is a great thing, but you pay more in storage, right? So the standard gold company is going to say, oh, you're going to pay, $200-300 a year. It's going to be stored at this facility, blah, blah, blah. There's a good value there. And again, I think those depositories are fine. But let's say it was your IRAs or your mom's IRA, Joe. There's a depository right up by you guys, 2 of them, where we could send it over there. And again, you're perfectly compliant with the laws.
Okay.
But I also say, again, it's like there's also a case, and some of my attorney friends can tell you this, is that they'll make a case that if you keep it in your home and it's in its own designated safe, not commingled with anything else, cash you have or other gold and silver you own or grandma's jewelry or guns, or if you just put your gold and your IRA silver in that safe, okay, and you leave it, just that alone, technically that's compliant as well. Right. But again, it gets into this gray area, and I'm not an attorney, so I don't want to make any claims. But at the same time, I'll tell you that it's doable. People do it all the time, and it's something that I can have you speak with more of my attorney people to say, hey, here's your risks, here's the pros, here's the cons. But again, it's in your possession. It's kind of nice.
Right.
If shit hits the fan, that might be the trade-off, saying, hey, I can access my stuff on a moment's notice.
Sure.
And keep in mind, and just not to beat a dead horse here, but there's people out there that say, hey, Matt, 2 of my neighbors were robbed in the last 6 months. I don't want to touch this stuff. Depositories sound great to me.
Oh,
so
right.
you kind of have a spectrum of people where it's like, it just depends on how that person feels. And I'm not going to tell somebody how to feel about it. That's their own personal decision. But what I can do is I can come up with a solution that's tailored to wherever they are on that spectrum.
So, what do you recommend? So I guess I didn't really realize that people may have a choice on the exact gold or silver that they want to get in their IRA. What is the best type of gold or silver to get?
I like U.S. coin, just not proof coin, like what I just mentioned to you.
Just not proof coin. Okay, so
Proof
it's
coin,
based
right.
on the value of the silver or gold itself.
It's based on the weight. It's based on the weight. So I'll give you an example. I think some of those old dimes, right, the Mercury dimes and whatnot. I think that's some of the best silver you can buy. The quarters, right, the old quarters.
Yeah.
Old, the pre-65 half dollars. I think it's some of the, but there's purity requirements. So anything that goes into an IRA, not a cash purchase, but an IRA, you need to have at least 99.9% purity.
Oh.
Those are 0.9 purity. So there is a purity requirement. I would love to be able to put that stuff in an IRA. Just unfortunately, you can't do it. There's rules against that.
Okay, so then is that like the gold bars and silver bars? Would that be that seems like that would be the right purity, right?
Yeah. Your standard gold bar 9999. Usually they're 49 pure or 39 silver. That's fine. I personally don't buy rounds. I'm not a big believer in them, but you can get them. It's a cheaper way you get more ounces. It's a cheaper way to buy silver or buy gold. If you buy it in bar or in just rounds, nothing wrong with it. There's there's two kind of perspectives. One is, people look at it like, hey, gold's gold, silver's silver. And I get that. That's 100% true. I like the US stuff because it's not just now that it's gold and silver. It's that, you pay a little bit more, not much, but a little bit more for a silver eagle. And now you have that monetary aspect to it. Now it's money. It's physical money. It's stamped by the U.S. Treasury Department. To me, that's an important component.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So when people are picking out and moving their IRA into gold or silver, you're going to have that conversation with them on
Correct.
What kind of gold or silver do you want to acquire?
Exactly right.